What is up, my Lorcana Goons? Welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. My name is Kevin. We're going to talk about some Lorcana stuff, and today I have for you a ranking of all the cards from Into the Inklands. Now, this is going to be part one because it's a lot of cards, about 200 some, and I got to break it down into two parts. So we're not going to go over every single card from the color every time, so it's going to be mixed up. So just be patient with me. I am going based on the order in which I downloaded these images upon reveals, but we have some tier sections here, starting with the bottom, which is going to be Boo Boo pack filler. So obviously cards that are going to be filler in the packs, not the best. Then we have mids, might see some play, high potential, and then we have the goo. If you don't know what the goo means, that means it's the best. It's the biscuits. It's broken. I think it's a great card. Now, this is just my opinion. I'm not really trying to predict the meta in the future. I'm just going based off of what I think when I first read these cards. I'm not going to take too much time because it is a lot of cards, so I'm just going to try and, off the top of my head, put it in a ranking system on how I think it's going to be useful in the meta. Now, this isn't necessarily meant to try and get people to not play certain cards or to play certain cards. It's really just my idea of what I think is the best versus what I think may not be the best in terms of what you're going to be using in constructed play for the new Into the Inklands format. There's a lot of cards here, so let's just go ahead and jump on into this. We have Nani, the first Amber card we're going over. It's a 5 ink inkable, 3 strength, 6 willpower, quest for 2, and it's a bodyguard. I think this card is definitely usable in this format, so I'm going to put it in might see some play. I feel like you could probably play this in a lot of maybe the Mufasa decks or any deck that you would probably play Goofy in as a bodyguard. You can probably play this because you can use the cards like just in time to bring it out, right? So that's not too bad. Don't seem too bad. Next, we have Lucky, the 15th puppy. It's a 4 ink uninkable, 2 strength, 3 willpower. When it's on the field, you can exert it to reveal 3 cards from your deck. Put a character with 2 cost or less to your hand. Then the rest go to the bottom. It also has a second ability, though, that whenever this character quests, if you have 4 or more other characters in play, your other characters gain +1 lore this turn. So I'm not a big fan of this card. I'm going to put it in the mid section because I feel like it might have potential, but not really, no. But it's not Boo Boo pack filler, definitely not. Mainly because I feel like that second ability to be able to give your other character some lore might actually be usable, but may not be like the best ability ever. It's honestly not that good, but I don't think it's like pack filler yet, right? Next we have Boss's Orders. This is a 1 ink inkable card that says chosen character gains support this turn. This is some Boo Boo pack filler. Boo Boo! I don't think this is necessarily the best card in the game. It's only a 1 ink inkable, and like support isn't the best ability in Lorcana right now. It's a very slow, so I don't think the card's that good. Next, we have Orville. Orville is going to be a 2 ink inkable. It has 1 strength, 4 willpower, and it quests for 1. We'll put Orville in might see play. I feel like this is a decent stat line for a 2-drop character, and maybe in like a sealed format or like in something like draft, you might pick Orville every now and then if you just need a character with a big body. All right, now we have the puppies. So for the puppies, we're just gonna, obviously we have 5 of them here, but they're all the same puppy. So if you don't know what the Dalmatian puppy does, you can play up to 99 copies of this character in your deck. It is a 2 strength, 2 cost, 3 willpower character that quests for 1 lore. Nothing too wild, but I get the feeling these little dudes are in the might see some play section. There's probably some decks that you can make where you're utilizing the ability to play more than 4 copies of the same card in your deck, right? So we'll leave these little guys in might see some play. Next, we have 99 puppies that says whenever one of your characters quests this turn, gain 1 lore. So if you play this card and then you start questing, you gain extra lore every time you quest. So it's not a song though, unfortunately, and it is a 5 cost uninkable in Amber, and I just can't think of where we would really play this card in the format, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna put it in mids because I don't think it's that good. Not useless, but not the best in my opinion. Now we have the new Pongo card. New Pongo is a 3 cost inkable, 3 strength, 2 willpower that says once per turn you can pay 2 ink and reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a character, you get it to your hand. Otherwise, put it to the bottom of the deck. I actually like this card a lot. I think it's decent. I think it might see some play as a 3 strength, 2 willpower character. It is very fragile, but it's a 3 cost inkable. So being an inkable card is always good. And it has potential to replace itself. Now you do have to pay extra ink to use that effect, but at the end of the day, it can be used more than once. So if Pongo does survive, then that means you can do it again and again and again. So I think it has some type of playability, and who knows, maybe we might see it in the format. Part of Atlantis, this is a 4 ink uninkable item that says you can exert this card. You pay 2 ink less for the next character you play this turn. It's almost like a big lantern, you know what I mean? I like lantern a lot because it is a 2-cost uninkable, but it only, minuses the cost by 1. So this is like a double lantern. It's a 4-cost, so you do have to wait a little bit before you can play it, but paying 2 less per characters means that by turn 5 you can play a turn 7 character, which is kind of nice. So I'm gonna put this in, might see some play. I feel like it does have potential, but I just feel like maybe you play lantern first, because you're able to play, if you're able to play lantern in the beginning of the game, you generate more value earlier turns as opposed to waiting till turn 4 to play a card like this. Next we have the Heal What Has Been Hurt. It's a 3-cost inkable song that says remove up to 3 damage from chosen character and draw a card. So this card's going to be able to replace itself, which isn't too terrible, but I really don't think this is going to be seen in the metagame. Healing isn't like the best ability in Lorcana. I do think you can maybe combine this with the Rapunzel cards, but is it really going to happen for you? We have Bernard over here. It's a 4 ink character, inkable, 1 strength, 5 willpower that says at the end of your turn, if this character is exerted, you may ready another chosen character of yours, and it quests for 2. I think this card actually has some decent potential. It might see some play. I like it as a rare, honestly. I'm hoping that you can combine this with some pretty cool cards like Christopher Robin maybe, or even just characters that you don't want to be challenged on your opponent's turn. You can just ready them up, which is kind of nice, right? We got Joshua Sweet coming up next. This dude is a bodyguard, 1/5 that quests for 2. It's a 4 ink inkable character. I like bodyguards. I like that Ambry gives us high willpower characters, so this is going to go in the might see some play section. Let's get on to our first location. It's a 1 ink inkable. It's going to be Neverland, 1 location cost and 4 willpower. It gives you 1 lore per turn. Not the best location, but I don't know what locations are going to do in the meta, so we'll keep this as mids. Honestly, I think it might even be pack filler, because this doesn't seem like the best location. A vanilla location that it only has a 4 willpower that just loses to most characters, including Maui. Not the best, but I do think that Tiana's place might be a little bit more playable. Tiana's place is going to be a 3 ink location that is uninkable. It has a 2 move cost, it has 8 willpower and 1 lore on it. So it has an ability that says characters can't be challenged while here. So I think this actually has some decent potential. This card is not bad, and I've been seeing it kind of played on Pixelborn ladder as of lately. So I'm going to put this in high potential because I feel like maybe you can make some wacky combos with this where your characters can't be challenged and they can only challenge the locations or something. But now we have the Queen of Hearts. This is the 3 ink inkable, 3 strength, 3 willpower amber card. This card reads, whenever this character quests, your other villain characters gain +1 lore this turn. So we have some villain synergy, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to be all that good. So I'm going to keep this in the mids section. Now we have Miss Bianca, which is basically Sebastian. It's a 2 ink inkable, 2 cost, 2 willpower that says you can sing songs for 4. It's a singer 4. So you can use her to sing your cards, like, and then along came Zeus, but we already have Sebastian. So do we really need more cards like this? So we're going to go ahead and put this in the mids section. Now we have Cleansing Rainwater. All right, this card reads, it's an item card, 2 ink inkable. It says banish this item, remove up to 2 damage from each of your characters. So not terrible. Remove up to 2 damage from everybody on your board. I feel like maybe it might seem, no, it's more of a mids, honestly. It's just, it seems like it'd be, I don't know, it's boo-boo, it's pack filler. It's boo-boo pack filler. I'm sorry, Cleansing Rainwater, you are some boo-boo pack filler. Let's get in on some bread and butter over here. We have the Pluto character. This is a 1 ink uninkable character, 0 strength, 2 willpower, and this has the ability to lower the cost of your characters by 1 when you exert this character. So I think this card actually has some high potential. Playing this on turn 1 seems pretty decent. If you're going second though, if you're playing an opposing steel deck and you play this Pluto, it does lose to Storm Rage on, but going first seems like a decent play, right? A turn 1 character that's going to lower the cost of your characters after that. If it stays alive, it's just going to get way more value. Part of the reason why I'm also putting it in the high potential spot is because we have a Shift Pluto that's a 7 drop, 7 inkable. It's a 3 strength, 8 willpower, quest for 2, and is a Shift 5 Pluto with bodyguard that also says at the start of your turn, remove up to 3 damage from this character. So this is a sticky character. It's going to be kind of hard to get off the board, and I think it's kind of good in my opinion, especially if you can kind of combo it off or bring it out in decks like Mufasa, or like you shift onto the Pluto after the Pluto's been surviving, giving you more value. This card's actually pretty good. The fact that it heals itself up is really powerful. So normally, like, playing a card to heal other characters is not good in my opinion, but if a character heals another character, or if a character heals itself, that seems like some pretty top-notch characters in my opinion. All right, next we have the Ch.3 Goons. Ch.3 is a 1 inkable, 2 strength, 2 willpower, and I think Ch.3 is the goo because Ch.3 is a Goons character, just like our favorite character Goons. So we will leave Ch.3 up there. We do have a legendary Ch.3 as well, which is pretty awesome. I think this card has some pretty decent potential. All right, Ch.3's ability is as follows. Ch.3. When you play this character, all characters get -3 strength until the start of your next turn. It's a 5 inkable, 3 strength, 5 willpower that quests for 2. This card is pretty good if you're playing an aggro deck, because if you're playing an aggro deck and you're questing with your Lilos and your little characters, when you drop this Ch.3, if you can shift it, the opposing characters are not going to be able to challenge your Lilo. Unless they play a character with a rush, then they can play it and you can just kill it, obviously. But for the most part, all the other characters on the board, they're really not going to be that strong by like turn 3. So this is pretty good in an aggro deck, I think. So I think this has some high potential, if not the goo, but we'll keep it in high potential. All right, next we have Airfoil. Airfoil is an emerald item, 2 inkable item that says exert. If you play 2 or more actions this turn, draw a card. Not my favorite. It is a very big demand, I think, to play 2 actions in a color like emerald. So unfortunately, I'm gonna put you in Boo Boo Pack Filler Emerald. I'm sorry. Ooh, but this next card, I actually was really excited for. We have Has Set My Heart. This card is a 2 inkable emerald card. It's an action song, so you can sing it with your characters. Very simple item, very simple song. The ability is banish chosen item. This is going in the goo section, not because it's like an amazing card. Well, actually, yes, because it is an amazing card, actually. Item removal is really good in Lorcana, actually. And the fact that we finally got some item removal that isn't in steel, I'm hyped for it. This is the goo. I'm so glad to finally see item removal in a different color than steel and sapphire. And the sapphire item removal was Judy Hopps, and it gives your opponent a card. So it's just, so I'm really glad to see this. So I consider this the goo. Next, we have Robin's Bow. This is another item in Emerald. It's a 3 ink uninkable. It has 2 abilities. The first one is exert, deal 1 damage to chosen damaged character or location. Then the second ability is whenever a character of yours named Robin Hood quests, you may ready this item. Holy moly, this card is not good. This is boo-boo. This is very disappointing to see, mainly because the Robin Hood, the 2-drop Robin Hood that we have in Steel, can't even damage locations. It only damages characters. So this first ability to deal 1 damage to chosen damaged character or location, it just seems really worthless if there's not going to be damaged locations already, because I can't damage them with the Steel Robin Hood. So I think this card is just kind of weird. I can't believe that they made it that they made a card that would benefit you to have Robin Hood, but that Robin Hood can't even damage the location. So a little disappointing. It's boo-boo in my opinion. Now we have Flotsam. Flotsam is an emerald card. It's going to be a 3 inkable, 5 strength, 2 willpower that says your character's name Jetsam gain 3 strength. Okay, now let's go ahead and read Jetsam real quick before I come to a decision. Jetsam says it's a 3 inkable. This is an emerald card. 2 strength, 2 willpower with ward, and it says your character's name Flotsam gain ward. Okay, so the Flotsam with 5 strength gives your Jetsam 3 strength so that it can make it a 5 drop, and then your Jetsam with ward gives your other character's name Flotsam ward. So I think this card is kind of mid. Both of these are kind of mid. I guess that you can combine them with the Amethyst Flotsam and Jetsam. So maybe in the future that'll be a cool deck, like Ursula Flotsam Jetsam deck. You know what I mean? But as of right now, I don't really see the point in giving those characters ward. The other ones give the characters rush and evasive, which is okay. But maybe I'm not seeing something. I do like that Jetsam does quest for 2 though, but he's so weak, having only 2 strength and 2 willpower. Even though he has ward, he just loses to grab your sword, so it's not fun. Cursed Merfolk. Now I actually like this card. It's a 1 ink uninkable. 0 strength, 1 willpower that says whenever this character is challenged, each opponent chooses and discards a card. So some discard synergy. It is uninkable, which is kind of lame in my opinion, so I'm gonna leave it in the might see some play section, mainly because it being an uninkable card means you're gonna have to sacrifice some other uninkables to play. But it is a 1-drop that quests for 2, which I really like in Emerald, and if your opponent challenges it, boom, it triggers your Prince John, it triggers your discard, synergy, which is kind of nice in my opinion, and it just starts questing for 2 really early on. I know in the later game it might just lose to like a random ping, so that kind of sucks, so we'll put it in might see play. Zazu, this is our next Emerald card. It's a 1 inkable card, 2 strength, 1 willpower that says while this character is at a location, he gets +1 lore. This card is kind of boo-boo in my opinion. It's just locations are a bit slow. You have to be able to have the location already, then you got to play Zazu, then you got to pay the cost to move Zazu to the location, and then you can't even quest with Zazu on the turn you move it, so it's gonna take a while before Zazu even gets that ability. So not my favorite character. It's boo-boo. Robin Hood is going to be a 6 ink character, vanilla, 4 strength, 5 willpower, but this guy quests for 4. That's kind of good in my opinion, and the fact that you can kind of synergize this with maybe some of your other Robin Hood cards that we've seen in the set seems like it does have some high potential. Questing for 4 seems pretty crazy. I don't think there's an Emerald card that quests for 4 yet, right? This is the first Emerald card that we have that can quest for 4, so high potential in my opinion. Seems decent. A 6 ink character is not too high of a cost to quest for 4, and it has 5 willpower, so it won't lose to cards like Smash. It's going to lose to combinations of damage dealing, and yeah, if people play Dragonfire, it'll just lose to Dragonfire, but questing for 4 is pretty fat, right? Imagine if you're playing a Mufasa deck and this comes off of the Mufasa. Ooh, that's kind of nice. So Robin Hood, I think, has some high potential. Helga St. Clair, this card is a 2 inkable, 2 strength, 1 willpower that says when this character is challenged and banished, banish the challenging character. Okay, this card is not bad at all. It's like a mini Cusco. Unfortunately, it does only have 1 willpower, so it will lose out to cards like Grab Your Swords, Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. Even the opposing steel Robin Hoods will clear this with no skin off their bones. You know what I mean? So I do think it's going to be in the mid section. I like that it does have the ability to banish a character that challenges it, but I feel like at the end of the day, it's not the strongest character, and I don't think it's really likely to survive. But you know what? I'm going to move it to the might see play section because we have a shift Helga that does give it a little bit more potential, because this is a shift 3 5 ink uninkable character. It's a 4 strength, 4 willpower that quests for 2, and she has an ability that says when this character quests, you may deal 3 damage to chosen damaged character. So I think the card might see some play as well. I don't like the ability though that Emerald is giving its characters to damage already damaged characters, because it's kind of hard to deal damage to characters unless you're playing something like Steel. So you're kind of telling us that we have to play these cards with Steel, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna put it as might see play because it does have that potential to shift on turn 3, but the extra ability doesn't seem like it's gonna go off that much. Next we have Dawn Carnage, inkable card. It's gonna have 4 strength, 4 willpower. It quests for 2, and it has evasive. So I feel like Emerald has some better evasives already, like Ray or some other cards that quest for 3. It seems pretty decent, but it also kind of seems like mid. So I'll put it in the mid section because I don't really see anybody playing this in the current meta. Now we got Skippy. Skippy is a 2 ink character, inkable with 2 strength, 2 willpower. It quests for 1 and has Ward. I don't think this card is that good. Sorry, Skippy. You're going into the boo-boo section. I just don't see a world where I need to play a character with Ward on turn 2, but only has 2 strength and 2 willpower. It only quests for 1, so I don't really see what the point in that there is. But next we have Sir Hiss is a 2 ink character. It has 3 strength, 1 willpower, and evasive as well. Fairly similar to some of the other cards we've been seeing in this set, but honestly, this is boo-boo. The 1 willpower is just a big turn-off if it's an evasive character. I just don't see a world where you're going to be playing this in the meta. I mean, even if you play against Ruby Amethyst, this does out the opposing Minnie Mouse Surfer, but can you really play a card like this when it's just going to get outed in other Steel matchups? So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about playing a card like this in a tournament, or you're probably going to run into Steel and it just loses to all the Steel cards. Now we have Deville Manor. This is going to be a 1 inkable location that has a 1 move cost and 4 willpower. So it's going to give you 1 passive lore at the start of your turn. I think this is borderline pack filler, the same way the other location for Neverland was. So I actually put 2 of these here on accident, so we'll put both there. So pack filler there, in my opinion. Next we have Fang. Fang is another Emerald location. If you guys like locations, we're getting a decent amount of them in this set. but Fang has an ability that says characters gain ward and evasive while here, and you get 2 lore at the beginning of your turn every time. It's a 4 inkable card, which I think is pretty good. It has 6 willpower and a cost of 2. Unfortunately, that 6 willpower means it will lose to Maui, but I feel like giving your characters ward and evasive is pretty decent, right? So I kind of want to put this in high potential because depending on how popular Ruby is, this cards like this might or might not see some play. But even against Ruby matchups, like giving your characters on here ward and evasive seems kind of nice, but it does, these locations do lose to Maui though, unfortunately. Next we have Shenzi, the hyena. Shenzi is going to be a 4 inkable character, 0 strength, 6 willpower though. That says while this character is at a location, she gets +3 strength. Okay, so at a location, she becomes a 4/3/6, not bad. While this character is at a location, whenever she challenges another character, you may draw a card. Okay, so drawing cards in Lorcana is good. So automatically, this card does not belong in the mid section. Might be and might see play, but I think this has high potential low-key, because if you put this at a location, you can, you give it a little boost, and the boost isn't bad. It's a 3 strength boost, and whenever this character challenges, it draws a card. I think it does have some potential, maybe not high potential, but I'll put it at might see some play. Next, we have Ursula. Everybody's been waiting for this card because this card be prepared it out songs. Let's go ahead and read this card. This is going to be a 2 inkable character in Emerald. It's going to have a 1 strength, 3 willpower stat line that quests for 1. And the ability is when you play this character, chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards a song of your choice. This card is broken because if I play it and you have Whole New World, you have Be Prepared, Let It Go, you got to show me your whole hand and then you got to discard one of the ones that I choose. That's kind of nice. It's almost like nothing to hide because you get a lot of information from the opponent by looking at their hand, and then you still get to get value by making them -1 from their hand. Oh, that's broken. It's a good card. It's a very good card, and this card alone with Bare Necessities might get me to play a Mufasa deck just so I can punish people who do that. Lyle Tiberius is going to be a 3 uninkable character that has 2 strength, 4 willpower with 2 abilities. When you play this character, chosen opposing character gains Reckless, so kind of like John Silver, right? And another ability that says whenever one of your other characters is banished, each opponent loses 1 lore. Okay, whenever one of your other characters is banished. So, I mean, that second ability doesn't seem like it's going to go off too often, This is an uninkable, which I don't like in Emerald, and it only quests for 1. It is a villain, so it does have villain synergy, but I don't think it's that good. I'm going to put it in mids. I do like giving an opposing character Reckless, so it might be good against aggro decks, but man, being an inkable is just not my favorite. Now, we have a wonderful card from this set. We have Morph. Morph is a 2 inkable, 2/1 stat line that says you may play any character with shift on this card as if this character had any name. Wow, we've been hearing about this card for such a long time. Everybody knows it. Everyone's been hyped for this card, right? And I think this card is really good. It having only 1 willpower is not the best, obviously, but how many cards in the game can really out this? We have Teeth and Ambitions, Strength of a Raging Fire, Let the Storm Rage On. Like, I'm talking about like turns 2 and 3, so I think it has very high potential. It might even be the Goo. I'll put Morph in the Goo section because he's just so gosh darn cute, and he is literal Goo. His name is Morph Space Goo, so Morph Space Goo has to be the Goo, so we're gonna keep him in the Goo section. Now we have Milo Thatch Goons. If you guys know already, the Goons go to the very top of the list. Okay, so this is the Milo Thatch Goons, a 1/2/2 vanilla, but it does combo off with this new Milo Thatch Legendary that we have coming this set. This is going to be a 7 uninkable card. It's a shift 4, and it has the following ability. When this character is banished, return all opposing characters to their player's hands. It's a 4 strength, 4 willpower character that can quest for 3. I think this card is pretty good in my opinion. The fact that you can banish it with your own cards like Dragonfire or Maleficent Monstrous Dragon, stuff like that to trigger it is kind of nice. So I think this card has high potential. It quests for 3. You can shift it on your Milo. So ideally you probably want to shift it on Milo on turn 4. Start questing aggressively because if they challenge it, they have to make sure that they, play around the ability to bounce. But I think one of the better situations is if you challenge it on your own so that your opponent can't play around it. Now we're on to our Amethyst cards. We have the Bosses on a Roll. This is a 3 inkable song that says look at the top 5 cards from your deck, put any of them at the top or the bottom of your deck in any order, gain 1 lore. So you're able to, manipulate your next draw and gain 1 lore with this card. It is a little awkward because you just like gain 1 lore, you know what I mean? And I feel like manipulating the top cards of your deck isn't too good, but the gaining 1 lore aspect doesn't seem too bad, especially when we've been seeing spellbooks be played a lot. So I'm gonna keep that in the might see play section. Bestow a gift. This card is going to be another Amethyst card. It's going to be a 1 cost inkable card that says move 1 damage counter from chosen character to chosen opposing character. So it's kind of like dealing 1 damage to an opposing character, but you have to have 1 damage on your character. But it's also kind of a heal, you know what I mean? Because you basically take away the damage counter from your character. I'm going to put it in mids though, because it is a 1 ink inkable. It doesn't seem like it's going to be that good. I could be wrong though, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be that good. Pua, the infinite pig over here. It's a 2 ink inkable that says when this character is banished, you may shuffle this card into the deck. 2 strength, 2 willpower. We have an out to deck out decks finally, but I think this card is boo-boo, pack filler. It is not that good. I don't really see a scenario where you're going to be losing to deck out decks anymore, where Pua becomes mandatory to play in your deck. And another issue is that it has to be banished for it to get shuffled into your deck. We have some Broom Goon activity over here. This is a 5 ink uninkable. We have Magic Broom Swift Cleaner, 4 strength, 4 willpower that says Rush. So character with Rush, not bad. And another ability that says when you play this character, you may shuffle all Broom cards from your discard into your deck, and this card quests for 2. This is boo-boo in my opinion. Why are they making the brooms uninkable? I don't like that. Now we got Firebird. This is a 4 inkable, 6 strength, 2 willpower character that quests for 1. This is not the best card in my opinion. I mean, 6 strength is nice, but it's more boo-boo in my opinion. I just don't see in this scenario where you're main decking this in a format where steel is just really popular and 2 willpower characters are that fragile. Now we have It Calls Me. This card's going to be a 1 ink inkable card that says draw a card, then pick up to 3 chosen cards from the opposing discard pile and shuffle them into the deck. So this can play around cards like Hades, play around cards like Chernobog, but don't think it's that good. I like that you draw a card, so you do get to replace it, but is it really going to be that necessary to kind of manipulate your opponent's discard pile? Maybe not, maybe not. Now we got Hydros. This is our first Titan from the bunch today. It's a 3 ink inkable character that has 2 strength, 2 willpower, but can quest for 2, which is kind of nice. And it also has the extra ability that you can tap this card and then you exert chosen character. So you can exert your own characters, you can exert an opposing character, which is kind of nice. We've seen this in Amethyst before, this ability to exert opposing characters, and I think it's pretty good. So I'm going to put this in the might see play section. Now we got the Magic Broom Dancing Duster. This is a 6 ink uninkable, 3 strength, 3 willpower character that says when you play this character, if you have a sorcerer character in play, you may exert chosen opposing character. They can't ready at the start of their turn. Wow, this card is boo-boo. It doesn't do anything. I don't like it at all. Now we got Mama Odie over here. This character is a 6 ink uninkable, 3 strength, 6 willpower that says whenever this character quests, you may move up to 2 damage counters from chosen character to chosen opposing character, and it quests for 2. So very similar to the Bestow a Gift card, but man, that's really slow. You have to quest for it to happen, and it's a 6 ink uninkable. Oof, no, not my favorite. Sorry, you're going in boo-boo. The Sorcerer's Tower. Now the Sorcerer's Tower is going to have some synergy with the brooms over here, so that's kind of cool to see. This Amethyst card is going to be a 3 ink inkable that has a move cost of 2, 7 willpower, which is cool, and it has 2 abilities. Your characters named Magic Broom move here for free, and the characters gain +1 lore while they're here. So all your characters will gain +1 lore while they're there, not just the brooms, but the brooms get to move there for free. And this is a 7 willpower location that doesn't lose to Maui. So I would say might see some play, especially if people start making broom decks. This is going to start seeing some play, you know what I mean? Now we have the Sorcerer's Hat. This is a 2 ink inkable item. It has an ability to exert, pay 1 ink, and you name a card. Then reveal the top card of your deck. If it's the named card, you put that card in your hand. Otherwise, you leave it on top of your deck. Now, this card is kind of weird. It's a combo piece, basically, because you have to be able to combo it off with the Amethyst cards that manipulate your next top deck. But we know now rulings with this. You just got to name the card. So you can say something like Peter Pan, Ariel, and whichever way. It could be any Peter Pan that you reveal or any Ariel that you reveal from the top, and you get to keep it to your hand. So it doesn't have to be like specific on which type of character it is, but it has to be like the specific character, you know what I mean? And because of that, we will put it in mids or might see some play. Will it see some play? I think it'll see some play because this has an enchanted version as well, and I just feel like some people are going to want to play that enchanted version, you know what I mean? Ooh, Diablo. Diablo the Faithful Pet is a 1 inkable character with 2 strength, 1 willpower that says when you play a character named Maleficent, you may look at the top card of your deck, put it either to the top or the bottom of your deck. So, this card is boo-boo. I mean, Maleficent's good. I think the ability to, look at your top deck and whatnot is not bad either, but I don't know. I don't think just to get that ability, you have to have Maleficent, or you have to play Maleficent. Not my favorite. Just play Squirrel. Squirrel does the same thing, and it happens when you play it no matter what, and then it leaves. It happens again when it leaves. If you are playing a Maleficent deck, you can kind of combo that off, but is it really necessary? Probably not this format. We have Iago next. This dude is a 3 inkable character, 3 strength, 2 willpower that has evasive and gains 1 lore when you quest. So, an evasive character, not terrible, but I'm going to put it in the mid section. Now we have Maleficent. This Maleficent legendary is kind of nice in my opinion. 2 strength, 3 willpower, can quest for 2, and it's a 5 inkable. Whenever this character quests, you may draw a card. That's nice. During your turn, whenever you draw a card, you may move 1 damage counter from chosen character to chosen opposing character. So it's like a 2-for-1 special. It does 2 different things, and both abilities are kind of good actually in my opinion. The ability to get some extra value off of those draws is pretty nice, and then the extra ability to just draw a card whenever this character quests is pretty cool. It's not like the Queen where you have to exert it to draw. You quest, so you gain 2 lore and you draw, and I think that's broken. I think that's the goo. People are sleeping on this Maleficent, I think, in my opinion. Dive Bomb. This is a ruby card. It's a 3 inkable ruby card that says banish one of your characters with reckless to banish chosen character with less strength than that character. So if you banish a Maui, then you can banish an opposing character, any on the field that has 6 strength less. So it has to be less specifically. It can't even be equal to. It has to be less. So it's a very strong stipulation. Not super big on it. Not my favorite. So I'm going to put it in the mids section. I think it's good in like that weight set Ruby deck, but I don't know. If Reckless ever becomes meta, this card will be great. But for now, it does not seem like it's that good. Now we have Peter Pan. 3 inkable, 1 strength, 3 willpower. It has Rush, which isn't bad. Quest for 2, and an ability that says when you have a character named Tinkerbell, this character gains +2 strength. So potentially a 3/3/3 with Rush that's inkable and has 2 lore. Potentially, though, you have to have Tinkerbell. I like the synergy. This has high potential. This has like a might see play all over it, in my opinion, because you can combine this with like a Tinkerbell deck, and I think that'd be kind of cool, don't you think? Then we have Nutsy here, which is just basically a boon. It's a 2/2/3. It doesn't do anything. There's another card in the set that kind of has synergy with Nutsy, but it's not good. So we're gonna put Nutsy in the boo-boo section. Boo-boo. We got Ariel, the Adventurous Collector. This is a 3 inkable character, 2 strength, 3 willpower with evasive, and it has an extra ability that says when you play a song, chosen character of yours gains evasive until the start of your next turn. I like this a lot. I honestly think this has high potential. Giving your characters evasive until the start of your next turn is pretty decent, and having that extra ability of evasive herself isn't bad at all. Unfortunately, you do have to play a song, but I still feel like this could have some high potential if you play it right in the right deck. You know what I mean? Mainly because you can play multiple songs and pick multiple of your own characters to give evasive. So, if you have like 3 characters and you want to just go aggro and you don't want them to die, play 2 songs with the Ariel over here, and you can give your other 2 characters evasive until the start of the next turn. That's kind of good in my opinion. Agrabah, this is a 3 inkable location. It has 1 cost, 5 willpower, and gives you 2 lore every turn. I think this is mids. These locations that just lose to Amaui are just not my favorite in my opinion. They're just really not. Della Duck is going to be a character with Reckless, 2 uninkable, 3 strength, 3 willpower. Not my favorite. You can't even use a weight set with this character, so it's going to go in the boo-boo section. Like, why would I play that when I could just play Gaston? You know what I mean? Is that extra willpower really that big a deal? I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal in my opinion. Now we have Maui the Whale. This card's kind of cool actually. This character can't ready at the start of your turn. Pay 2 ink, ready this character. He can't quest for the rest of the turn. It's a 7 inkable with 8 strength, 8 willpower. That 8 strength, 8 willpower body's kind of good, but it's so niche. I just don't see this card being that good. It's going to go in the mid section. We also have another Maui here. This is going to be an uninkable character with 5 strength, 2 willpower. It costs 3, and it has a synergy with Hey Hey. So this character has Reckless, and it says whenever one of your characters named Hey Hey quests, this card gains 1 lore and it loses Reckless. So then you can start questing with it again, right? But it is very fragile. It is only a 5/2 character, so I just don't think it's gonna really survive that long. So it's gonna go in the boo-boo section. Sorry about that, Maui. We got this other Milo Thatch over here. This one's a 2 inkable with 2 strength, 2 willpower that says while this character is at a location, gain +2 strength. Not that good. Very, very slow. I mean, I know these cards are meant to kind of premiere the idea of locations in the starter decks, and this card just not the move in my opinion, unless people are playing like an Emerald Ruby deck, right? And you can, you know, shift the Milo Thatch on there. Now we got I've Got a Dream. This is a song, a 2 inkable that says ready chosen character of yours at a location. They can't quest for the rest of the turn. Gain lore equal to that location's lore. Okay, that's not bad. If you have some beefy locations, you're going to gain the extra lore, and you're also going to be able to ready characters at that location, but they can't quest for the rest of the turn. So you kind of like the stipulation that a lot of the Ruby cards have, right? Not bad. I feel like this might see some play, you know what I mean? Jim Hawkins, Thrill Seeker. This is going to be a 2 inkable, 3 strength, 2 willpower character that only quests for 1. This is a generic vanilla card that might see some play, honestly, because we do have a bigger Jimbo Hawkins in the set, but I don't really see why you'd want to play this card when you could just play cards like the Minnie Mouse on the scooter, you know what I mean? 3 shipped Moana. It's a 5 inkable, 4 strength, 4 willpower, quest for 2, and it says whenever this character quests while at a location, ready all other characters here. Okay, and then they can't quest for the rest of the turn. Okay, so readying them back is cool, but the fact that they can't quest anymore is kind of lame, so I don't like that. That's going into the boo-boo pack filler section. I believe that's a starter deck card too, so you know, kind of cool. We have some Marion Talisman. This is going to be a 3 inkable item that says during your turn, whenever one of your characters is banished in a challenge, you may draw a card. Pretty cool. Inkable, draw power in Ruby. I like that. And it's only whenever one of your characters is banished on your turn, unfortunately. So it's not going to be able to activate on the opponent's turn, but if you have a bunch of characters, you can crash them into your opposing characters and then start drawing some cards. It's kind of hard to play around too, right? Because your opponent's not going to know when you're going to drop it before you start challenging, so kind of interesting. I do think this is going to go in the might see some play section, mainly because Ruby has an issue with not drawing enough cards, you know what I mean? Prince Eric, the Ruby Prince Eric, which is kind of dope. It's a 4 uninkable that says when this character is banished, you may banish chosen character. It has 2 strength, 2 willpower, and quests for 2. I like this card a lot. If you swing at it with your own teeth and ambitions, you're able to basically banish another character. You can banish your own characters, or you can banish an opposing character. And it only has 2 strength. That's it. It's a pretty good card in my opinion. I honestly want to say that this card might be in high potential, or it might be the goo. I'm going to keep it in the goo because being able to banish an opposing character like that so early, like on turn 4, that seems kind of nice in my opinion, especially with all these Jafar decks running around. If they try and set up a Jafar, you could just hit your own Eric with decent ambitions and then banish your Jafar before they can shift it. That's kind of nice. This group, this is a 5 inkable Ruby card that has 2 strength, 5 willpower, and it says while this character has damage, he gets +3 strength. I don't like this card. This card's kind of boo-boo, honestly. I feel like we already have the Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard, which is basically a 5/5/5 that quests for 2. And this character, it needs to be damaged in order for it to be a 5/5/5 that quests for 2, which is kind of neg in my opinion. The only big difference is that this character is an alien and a pirate, so it does get pirate synergy. And, you know, we do have a pirate location in this set, and to give it rush, so it might be good, but the fact that it has to be damaged for it to be more impactful is just not my favorite in my opinion. Now we got the new Stitch over here. This new Stitch card is kind of nice. This is going to be a 2 uninkable with Rush that has 3 strength, 1 willpower. Let's see. I think this card's going to see some play for sure. I don't know if it has high potential because it is a 1. You know what? It does have high potential because this makes some good trades early on. And if you're playing against like Simbas and stuff like that, this card's going to be able to get you there for sure. And next we have one of my favorite cards in the set. We have Voyage. Very simple card. It's a 1 inkable that says move up to 2 characters of yours to the same location for free. Honestly, this card's the goo. This card's really good because some of these locations are really crazy and some of them have really high movable costs. So the fact that Voyage moves it for free is actually really good in my opinion, especially with some of the new locations like the Amethyst one that draws you cards, or let's even say like the Tiana's place, right? You set it up on turn 3, you set up another character on turn 4, maybe even 2 characters, and by turn 5 you can play some new characters, play Voyage, move your new character to the location, location and it starts getting the abilities. You know what I mean? So that's kind of cool. I think Voyage is really good. I'm surprised this card is a common because this card could have easily been a rare and been like kind of expensive. Again, these are my opinions. Don't like crucify me for, you know, having opinions on cards. If you guys disagree, just leave it in the comments below, but be nice about it. Now we have the next legendary for Ruby. This is Jimbo Hawkins, Space Traveler, 5 ink, inkable, which is good, 4 strength, 4 willpower. When you play this character, you may play a location with 4 cost or less for free. That's kind of nice. And whenever you play a location, this character may move there for free. Wow, you're killing me, Larry. This card is crazy. Free stuff all around. I think just cards that do stuff for free is just insane in Lorcana. So I'm gonna put this in the broken section. I don't even know what locations are 4 cost or less, but this just seems like a good card. Playing locations for free, moving to locations for free. Come on, man. I like free stuff. Don't you like free stuff? Everything is better when it's free, in my opinion. Another Helga St. Clair for you. This time it's a steel card though. It's a 3 cost inkable character. It's gonna have 2 strength, 4 willpower, challenger plus 2. So it's like another version of Prince Eric, but just a little bit stronger. It has potential to be a 3/4/4. I like this card a lot. I think this card might see play. In fact, I think this card actually has high potential to see play in the metagame because we've seen how powerful Captain Hook and Prince Eric become like as the meta starts to establish itself, and I think cards like Helga might be pretty good, and you can shift the other Helga on top of this. So if you are playing Emerald Steel, this is some pretty good synergy in my opinion. Now we have Baboom. This is a 2 ink inkable that says deal 2 damage to chosen character or location. So it can damage locations. It's like a fire the cannons that can damage locations, but it is 2 costs instead of being 1 cost, but it's inkable instead of being uninkable. So it has its ups and its downs, and I think it has more downs than ups, so I'm gonna put it in the mid section. It has potential, so I'm not gonna put it in boo boo pack filler, but you know, it's definitely in the mid section in my opinion. Now we have a Hook's Rapier. This is an item. It's a 3 ink uninkable that says during your turn, whenever one of your characters banishes another character in a challenge, you may pay 1 ink to draw a card. Okay. And it has another ability that says your characters named Captain Hook gain Challenger plus 1. Holy heck, that's kind of cool. I wonder though, if my Captain Hook already has Challenger plus 2, you know, the 1 drop, and then I have this item, does that mean it gets another? Does it stack? I think it does stack because Lorcana usually does stack abilities like that. You guys let me know in the comments about that ruling what you think, but regardless of that ability, I think the fact that I think drawing a card, I think drawing cards is good in Lorcana. 3 ink uninkable, you know, but I think this card might see play. Low key might even have some high potential, but you know, you have to challenge. That's the only issue with it, so it is a little slow, but it can replace itself, so I think it might see some play. You know what I mean? And now we have a Robin Hood Goons. This is a Robin Hood that was revealed. It's a 1 ink inkable, 2 strength, 2 willpower, no ability, but we know how I feel about the Goons type character, so you guys are automatically going into the Goose section, especially because we have the new Robin Hood legendary right here. This character is pretty nice. This is going to be a 5 ink inkable character that has 3 strength, 6 willpower. It's a shift 3, so you can play that first Robin Hood on turn 1, and then on turn 3 you can shift into this Robin Hood. Then it has 2 abilities. During your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, gain 2 lore, so very similar to Taka. And another ability that says when this character is banished in a challenge, you may draw a card. Quest for 2. It can replace itself because it draws a card when it's banished in a challenge, and it's pretty aggressive. You'll gain lore when you challenge a character and banish it, which is pretty nice. I think this card has high potential, especially because of that shift target. Players might not play around it in the beginning of the format. You know, they might start questing with some silly stuff, and then you shift into this Robin Hood and you gain lore. And then when the Robin Hood gets challenged back, you draw a card. So it does replace itself, which I do like. Now we got a Floodborn Lil Jon. This is kind of cool. It's a 6 ink inkable, 4 strength, 5 willpower that shifts for 4. This character says while this character is exerted, your characters with bodyguard gain resist +1, and they get +1 lore. And it quests for 2. Okay, that's kind of nice. I think giving all your characters with bodyguard 2 extra stats abilities is pretty crazy, right? You give them resist +1 and you give them the ability to gain +1 lore. We might be sleeping on this card. I want to say this card could be the goo in a bodyguard deck, right? Because you could make it pretty aggressive and you give all your bodyguards +1 lore and they start questing. I will put it in high potential because the goo is reserved for cards that I just know they're good. You know what I mean? Sheriff of Nottingham. This card is a 4 ink uninkable, 2 strength, 4 willpower that says when you discard a card, you may deal 1 damage to chosen opposing character. This card has high potential for a variety of reasons. Dealing 1 damage to chosen opposing characters is pretty good. We've seen Chief Bogo do some stuff in the meta last format. In addition to that, discarding cards is pretty prevalent in Steel because you can draw and discard cards with like Cinderella, Simba, and stuff like that. Whole New World, you know what I mean? And we know that it deals 1 damage each time. What's cool is that you can combine this with Beast Relentless, and I've seen people talk about how you can potentially OTK with this card and Beast Relentless, which is kind of nice, you know what I mean? So look into this card. I think it has some high potential to gain a lot of lore very quickly. All right, next we have another Steel card. This is a 1 ink inkable. Olympus would be that way. Your characters gain +3 strength while challenging a location this turn. This card is Boo Boo. It only gains the challenger when challenging a location. That is so specific. I don't like it. I don't even think that's good in sealed play, draft, whatever you call it. You know what I mean? It's so specific. Not my favorite. But this card right here coming up is not bad. We have Rise of the Titans. This is another Steel card right here. This card is going to be a 3 ink inkable, and it's a very simple card. It says banish chosen item or location. So it's an auto out to a lot of locations. I think this card might be the goo. Depending on how locations are in the format, it almost feels like Steel might have to play this card if we start seeing some wacky location synergy, and having a 1-for-1 card that you can just drop on the field to eliminate any location is pretty wild, because the moment your opponent starts playing locations that are more than a 3 cost, this card gets an insane amount of value. And this is the only card in the game that deals with locations that easily, you know what I mean? It's almost like having item removal in Steel. I don't know why they keep giving Steel these great cards that just auto remove items and stuff like that, you know what I mean? I feel like they should have given it to other colors as well, but maybe they're trying to keep the game balanced in their own way. Next up, we have this original Sad Boy. We have Eeyore. This card is a 5 ink inkable. It has 4 strength, 5 willpower, and resist +1 that quests for 1. Now, is this card a boo-boo? Maybe not boo-boo. I'm going to put it in mids. Put it in mids because it's not the craziest card. It does have resist +1, but I don't think it's going to see much meta play outside of maybe just trying to complete some of your league challenges or something like that, right? Now we got Simba, Rightful King. This is a 5 ink inkable character, 4 strength, 6 willpower, and it says during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, chosen opposing character can't challenge during their next turn. This card is so specific. I love Simba. I think Simba is such a cool character in Disney, and all the Simba cards are just not that good. This card is boo-boo. Why do they make this card, bro? You have to have 2 opposing characters for this card to get any value, and then this card has to banish a character in order for it to get that value, so it's just not good. But this next card is pretty good. This is Along Came Zeus. This 4-cost uninkable song is gonna read deal 5 damage to chosen character or location. I like this a lot. The 5 damage is really important, you know. It's almost like launch, but you don't have to have the item on the play already, and it's a song, so you can sing it, and it can hit the location as well. So this card might be the goo, but I'm gonna put it in high potential. You know what? I'm going to put it in the goo because it can hit both characters and songs for 5 damage. And a lot of characters will just get banished off of 5 damage alone. So I think it's the goo. I think it's pretty nice. If you haven't seen the enchanted rare of that card, be sure to look it up because it is wonderful. We do have another Simba though. You know, I was kind of talking a little too early because this Simba is not bad in my opinion. This is a 7 ink inkable card, has 5 strength, 7 willpower, and it says when you play this character and whenever he banishes another character in a challenge during your turn, you may choose 1. Draw 2 cards, then choose and discard 2 cards, or deal 2 damage to chosen character and a quest for 2. So it almost has somewhat of a Tinkerbell Giant Fairy ability where you're able to deal 2 damage to another character, but I like the ability to be able to draw 2 and discard 2 because this can trigger certain cards in your deck depending on how you're synergizing with it, or in general this will give you the ability to draw cards from your deck if you're trying to see cards even faster. Discarding 2 cards doesn't seem too bad in a deck like Steel either, you know what I mean, especially comboing this off with cards like the new Jafar or the new Chernobog to kind of get cards in your discard pile a lot quicker. My only thing about this card is that I wish it was a shiftable Simba. Why don't we have a shiftable Simba yet? So because it's not a shiftable Simba, it's not going to go in high potential. It's going to go in might see play. I don't see anybody playing this on turn 7 though. It's a little too slow, but so we might put it in mids. We'll put it in mids for now. Okay, we'll put it in mids for now. Let me know what you guys think about that one. Now we have the 3-drop Lil Jon. This is going to be a 3 ink inkable bodyguard that has 2 strength, 4 willpower with an ability that says during your turn, this character gains evasive. I don't like the stats on this card to give it that ability to have evasive on your turn, so I'm going to put this in mids. I feel like when you give your characters, I feel like characters that have evasive on your turn are a lot better when they have like 3 strength or something, you know, because just from our experience with Minnie Mouse Surfer, this Little John is not going to do anything to that card, and I don't think having Bodyguard is really that relevant either. We have Mr. Smee over here. This is a 2 inkable character with 3 strength and 3 willpower, and it says at the end of your turn, if this character is exerted and you don't have a captain character in play, deal 1 damage to this character. I like this a lot actually, because it has to be exerted for that to happen, so you can just play it on turn 2 and you can leave it on the board and just kind of pressure your opponent into not doing certain things. It's almost like a snake that you don't have to bounce a character back. So low-key, this card has a lot of potential, and it only deals 1 damage to itself. Honestly, this card's really good. This card has a lot of high potential in my opinion. I don't know if it's the goo because it's kind of a simple card. It's an early card, but a 2-drop 3/3, yeah, that's really good. You don't even have to bounce anything. This card is the goo. I'm gonna put it in the goo. I'm sorry, I like this card. It's kind of good actually. We have Lithos, the Rock Titan. This is a 4 inkable, 4 strength, 1 willpower, but this guy has resist +2, which is kind of good in my opinion. It also has another ability that says exert. Chosen character gains resist +2 this turn. So if you need to clear an opposing character and you don't want to take as much damage, or you just need to survive, you can give your characters resist now with Lithos. It's a decent card, and I think it might see some play in some steel decks, and who knows, maybe there's a Titan deck that we haven't really been thinking of, but I think the Titans have a lot of good synergy with each other, which is kind of cool. Maui's Place of Exile, a 2-cost inkable location. It has 5 willpower and a 1 moving cost. Characters gain resist +1 while here. So giving your characters resist +1 while they're there is not bad in my opinion. In general, we've seen how impactful Cogsworth can be in the meta last format against some steel decks. So usually against steel matchups, when they're dealing with resist, it's a little bit difficult. So I think this card does have some high potential in my opinion, because giving your characters resist might make it so that your steel matchup is just a little bit easier. And now we have Mickey Mouse Trumpeteer. I know a lot of people didn't think that this Mickey Mouse is that good. This is a legendary steel card. It's a 4 uninkable, has 0 strength, 1 willpower, and it has an ability that says sound the call. Exert. Pay 2 ink and you play a character for free. That's kind of good in my opinion. I know a lot of people don't like this card, but combining it with Maui's Place of Exile or even some other cards that can protect it might make it so that you can play big old characters like Surfer Stitch, Maleficent Monsters Dragon, Chernabog. You play them way earlier, and I feel like this could get a lot of value. Yeah, you know, I'm coping. I just think the card might be a little better than we're giving it credit for personally. Just like the way we thought Mufasa wasn't going to be like the best card ever, and then all of a sudden we just had Mufasa decks running around. I feel like maybe we're sleeping on Mickey Mouse Trumpeteer, you know? I'll keep it in high potential, you know, but we'll see what happens. We have Motunui. This is going to be a 2 inkable location with 5 willpower, 1 moving cost that says whenever a character is banished while here, you may put that card into your inkwell face down and exerted. So that's kind of cool. I think this card has some high potential. Basically, it turns all your characters on this spot into Grandma Talas, right? Obviously, this is going to make it so that your opponent has to clear the location first before they start challenging your characters, but realistically I think this is a decent aggro strategy. You know, I'll put it in might see play, because now that I'm saying it out loud, it's not that crazy, right? Because you just out the location before you out the characters. But Bell's House is another location. This is a 1 inkable with a 2 moving cost, 6 willpower that says if you have a character here, you pay 1 less to play an item, and that's pretty much it. It only makes it 1 time, so if you have more characters on there, it doesn't lower it anymore. It's just 1 less. I think that's Boo Boo. It's not my favorite, and it loses to Maui. Not my favorite location. Boo Boo. All right, these next 3 I'm gonna do together because they are the nephews of Scrooge. I have to do Huey, Louie, and Dewey together, but we're gonna go over Huey first. It's a 2 inkable character, 2 strength, 2 willpower that has support, and he says when this character quests, if you have characters named Dewey and Louie in play, you may draw 3 cards. I think that's really strong in my opinion. So being able to draw 3 cards is wild. I think this might have high potential, and in order for you to resolve this ability, you need to have the other Louie and Dewey as well on the field. So Dewey is just going to be a 3 inkable that has 2, 3 stat line and support. It does quest for 2 though, so that's not a bad card at all in my opinion. And Louie is a 4 inkable that has 3 strength, 4 willpower, and also has support. So I like that they're all inkable. I like that the other 2 have support, and I like that the other 2 quest for 2 because it's pretty aggressive. So in general, if you're able to combo these off, you will draw 3 cards, and that just seems really unfair. So I'm going to put this in the high potential slot. Yes, Huey is only at 2 willpower, but I feel like he'll survive as long as you don't challenge them and you're not playing against a steel deck that opens up the right cards. High potential because drawing 3 cards is just broken, right? Oh, but you also have to have all 3 of them, which is kind of rough. So maybe we'll see it. I'll leave it at high potential. I'll leave it at high potential because that curve is wild. Right now we have Audrey Ramirez, a 5 inkable character, 2 strength, 5 willpower with a ward, and it says when this character quests, ready 1 of your items, and it quests for 2. It's not the best card. I'll put it in mids because maybe there's some combos I'm not looking at, you know, where you can just re-ready your items and you get some like insane value. And I just feel like ward is like whatever. Certain cards with ward are good, like Bucky, but this card is not a Bucky. It's not going to generate that same amount of value. You know what I mean? Distract. This is going to be a 2 inkable character. Chosen character gets -2 strength this turn, and you draw a card. So drawing a card is okay. And we saw Painting the Roses Red, but that was a song, right? So the fact that this is not a song is kind of lame because you can't really play it with flutes. So I'm going to put it in the boo-boo side. Now we have Friend Like Me. Da 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 na na na. Nah, you ain't never had a friend like me. One of my favorite songs ever in Disney. And I actually like this abilities. This is a 5 inkable song, which is kind of nice. And it says each player puts the top 3 cards of their deck into the inkwell, face down, and exerted. Now, one of the big problems with this card is that if you use it, obviously you're going to have to pass turn to the opponent, and they're going to have first shot at using those 3 inkable cards that you gave them. But this card ramps you 3 ink, which is kind of wild. And if you develop a strategy where you're playing high cost characters, I think this card might be a little better than we're giving it credit for, right? So I'm going to put it in the high potential slot, especially now that we've seen some of the Sapphire cards that are going to generate some extra value when you start putting cards into your inkwell. Here we have the Aurelian Gyro Sensor. This is a 2 inkable item that says whenever one of your characters quests, you may look at the top card of your deck, put it either at the top or the bottom of your deck. This card is boo-boo. All it does is look at the top card of your deck, and you have to have a character to quest with, and you have to quest with the character in order to trigger this item. This card is boo-boo. You literally just look at the top card and just decide, do I want that card or not? Just play Cauldron. Cauldron is just way better than this. It's just like a really bad Cauldron. Speaking of Gyro, we have the Gyro Gear Loose. This is going to be a 3 ink character, 1 strength, 4 willpower, and it has an ability that says Exert. Put an item card from your discard to the top of the deck. So it's not bad. It's an early game character, and it's inkable, and it'll let you potentially get some items back from the discard pile that you might need, but it's very slow because you have to put it to the top of the deck. So I'm going to put it in the mids section. All right, so now we have Rufus. Rufus is a Sapphire 5 inkable character that has 4 strength, 5 willpower that says when this character is banished, you may put this card into your inkwell, face down, and exerted. So, you know, running theme with Sapphire cards, when they get banished, put them into your inkwell, exerted. It is a higher cost character though, so it is a little bit slower, and it is inkable, so it's not bad. But I do want to mention, what's with this running theme about having old people, like old characters, like characters that are aging? Why is it that when they're getting banished, we're putting them into the inkwell? What does that mean, Lorcana? You know, we saw it with Grandma Tala. We're seeing it with Rufus. Why is that a trend? This card, in my opinion, is mids. It probably might see some more play in, you know, the seal or draft play. But for now, it doesn't seem like it's that good. I'd rather just max out on Grandma Tala's or other ways to ramp up ink. Next, we have Scrooge's Top Hat. This is a 2 ink uninkable item that says Exert. You may pay 1 ink less for the next item you play this turn. So not bad. It is an item, so it has potential to stay on the board, so it can be reoccurring. I'll put this in might see play. No, it's not inkable. I don't like it. I'll put it in mids. It's gonna be mids in my opinion. Scrooge McDuck. Our Scrooge McDuck card for Lorcana is a 5 ink uninkable character, has 3 strength, 5 willpower that says during your turn this character gains evasive, so it can out cards like Minnie Mouse Surfer. Then it has another ability that says during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may play an item for free. Okay, so playing an item for free is good. Normally I would put that in high potential, but the fact that you have to banish an opposing character to get that ability is just really hard. And most of the time, if you play a character like this, your opponent's going to play around it. They're just not going to quest, and they're not going to let you get the value off of this card. So this is also going to go in the mid section, unfortunately. Wendy Darling. Now, Wendy Darling is going to be a Sapphire card. This is a 3 ink inkable, has 3 strength, 1 willpower, has a ward and support, and it quests for 2, so not terrible. Giving a character +3 strength might be kind of good in my opinion, but it has ward. I'll put it in mids. Overall, it just doesn't seem like it's necessary in this deck. Now we have the new Sapphire Tinkerbell. This is a 5 ink inkable, has 3 strength, 4 willpower, and a quest for 2. And it says whenever one of your items is banished, you may put that card into your inkwell face down and exerted. So it does have a synergy with Hiram Flavorsham, and you're able to basically put your items into the inkwell exerted after they're gone. So it might even have synergy with Judy Hopps. So I'll put this in might see play. It's a way to get more cards into your inkwell, in my opinion, and it seems like it's something that could see play if we're doing some wacky combos like popping our popsicle with Hero and Flavorsham, and then you gain the extra ink off of this Tinkerbell. So now we have the Vault Door. This is a 4 ink inkable item. This is going to have an ability that says your locations and characters at locations gain resist +1. Not my favorite card. It's a 4 ink inkable and it's a high cost card, and all it does is give your locations plus resist +1 and the characters at the locations resist +1. So the characters have to be at the locations in order to get this ability, and that's just not good in my opinion, especially for a 4 cost item. So this is going in the boo-boo sections. And last but not least, we have Scrooge's Lucky Dime. This is an item card in Sapphire. It's a 7 ink uninkable item that has the ability of Exert. Pay 2 ink, choose a character of yours and gain lore equal to their lore. So another way to gain lore in Sapphire outside of questing. This card is the goo. I've seen a lot of people playtesting this card. There's some wacky combos you can do with some of the other cards in the set that we'll go over in part 2 of this video that basically lets you manipulate as much lore as possible using your items, using Magicka Dispel, using cards like Bell. And so this card's kind of good. It basically lets you gain lore without needing to quest with the characters, and I think there's some pretty cool strategies that I've been hearing people cook up that might actually break the meta with Lucky Dime. So I'm excited to see what people make with Lucky Dime. I think the card's the goo, I'm just saying. But that's all for part 1 of this video. We went through 100 some cards here. Let me know what you guys think of the rankings. Like I said, just give me your opinion. Please don't be mean in the comments to each other on what you guys think is going to happen with Into the Inklands. We're only a couple days away, my goons, and we're about to change the meta. Be sure to stay tuned to Lorcana Goons for the part 2 of this video so you can see what we think of the other cards in the set. And until then, we will see you goons next time.